Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq, with daily insight on the Nasdaq-100 index, or the NDX, which is made up of 100 of the largest domestic and international non-financial innovative companies listed on Nasdaq. The NDX has been the barometer for U.S. large cap growth and also one of the best performing indexes over the last decade and a half, not to mention one of the most liquid index ecosystems in the world. Joining me this Thursday afternoon, we have Joyce, Managing Director on Nasdaq's Market Intelligence Desk, for an update on technical levels to watch in the Nasdaq-100. And Brian, it's really been quite the week for the index, hitting new all-time highs.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been great to see the Nasdaq-100 kind of return to, its leadership role, albeit it's very recently. But I think overall, the big picture is that, the market is firing really on all cylinders. We had a new stimulus package announced today. What's interesting to me is that, value is not outperforming growth really by much at all today. And that's really kind of been the trend this quarter. There's been so much talk about how well value is doing. That certainly was the case last year in Q4 and this year in Q1. But, in the second quarter, growth is outperforming value by about 6 percentage points. And this month, it's about 6.5%. So really, especially in June, growth has really started to, take back that leadership role, which is good to see for the Nasdaq-100.
All right, Brian, let's take a look at your Bloomberg here, because not only are we hitting new all-time highs, but you're looking at some breakout territory as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So this here is the daily period chart of the Nasdaq-100. You can see, we had made these highs back in February, marginal new highs again here in April, but we had really been in this long multi-month period of consolidation. And over the last week or so, we're really now finally beginning to break away from that. We're at the bottom of today's range here. So on a very short-term basis, that could look a little bearish. What that may mean is, going forward in the very near term, maybe we're due for a retest of this prior breakout level and then resume the uptrend higher. But, over the longer term, this is the weekly period chart. You can see as we zoom in here, this week, we're finally, we're just beginning to break away from these prior highs here. Our weekly RSI is up in the high 60s, reflecting the bullish price action. So that's nice to see. This year, I want to highlight again, in the fixed income market, we had a very strong reaction, particularly in the spread between the 5 and 30-year yield. And we saw that, collapse, basically gave up 27 basis points in less than 3 sessions, which was, a low that hadn't been seen since all the way back in November. So the move over the prior, 6+ months, almost 9 months, was given up in 2.5 sessions. So a dramatic move. And that's why we've been seeing, the value index, beginning to partially why the value index is beginning to underperform the growth. Again, growth outperformed value for multi-years. You can see for about 10 years or so, going back to 2011, and then beginning in the fourth quarter of last year, value finally started to rebound and outperform growth. This is a ratio of value over growth, but that peaked back in early March, and now we're seeing it's kind of giving back up, that breakout line that had been in place from last summer to early February or so of this year. And so, if this resumes to the downside, growth, really looks good on a relative basis versus value. On a longer term basis, we've been looking at this chart on a monthly time period, and we could see that rebound, that short 2-quarter rebound in value outperforming growth stalled right at those 2000 low right here. So a major pivot there, potential significant resistance. And so, you could really make an argument that growth is really going to be looking strong going ahead. And if we want to just look at the growth versus value on an absolute basis, this is the value index. You can see, it's a couple of percentage points below highs, but look at growth right now. Growth is, been breaking out, looks just like the Nasdaq-100. So I still like the way growth looks here. Anything can change over the short term, but, the Nasdaq-100, is a powerful index, powerful performer. Last year, coming out of the lows of the pandemic. And, it seems to be, for the moment, for the last quarter or so, it's taking back that leadership mantle.
All right, Brian, appreciate the insight as always. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq.